to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and this is our weekly list of 5 things you should know about. We've got a lot of little tidbits to cover this week, which is a good thing because the bigger stories we're following are still developing and some of them being debated over by Congress. So coming in at number 5, let's talk updates and housekeeping with a couple of field notes. As of recording time for this episode, we are still waiting on the final version of the budget reconciliation bill. At the time of writing, it was working its way through the House. After getting through that hurdle, it will still need to pass through the Senate before heading to the Oval Office for President Trump's signature. We've been following potential changes to the ACA marketplace, Medicaid, and Medicare over the past few weeks. I would say that the ACA is probably going to see the biggest changes, some of which we already know about. But as far as the details included in that bill, there's been so much speculation that by the time this episode airs, I'm not sure that any of it would be considered timely or relevant. So we will be waiting on official word, then we will dive into what it means for agents. We will be linking to KFF coverage of that process in our episode notes. They've been updating a budget reconciliation tracker, so that's a great place to check if you want to update your bingo card in real time. Next thing that I want to mention, registration for the 2025 season of Ritter Summits is now open. Every year, we hold these live, in-person, get-ready for AEP events for our agents. While you're there, you get to preview 2026 MA and Part D plans from carriers in your market. You can sit in on panel discussions, meet your carrier reps, as well as the team here at Ritter, and chat one-on-one about marketing, sales tools, technology. You can ask questions. We are holding these events in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, and Ohio this year. So check out the episode notes to learn more about where those events are happening and how to register to attend. And then in an update to our countdown to AEP prep season, just a reminder that AHIP certification for 2026 goes live on Monday, June 23rd. So you've got 1 month from publication of this episode until the 2026 certification goes live. Start thinking about when would be a good time to get that knocked out so you can get on with your other trainings and certifications. And then last on our list of updates, Apple announced that this year's Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC, will officially be held from June 9th through June 13th. And the theme for this year's event, On the Horizon. During that event, we will likely be getting updates on all the operating systems. So iOS 19, iPad OS 19, Mac OS 16, Watch OS 12, and Vision OS 3. As far as the name, I am resisting the urge to make a joke about Apple Intelligence features still being on the horizon. So instead, let's move on to number 4. Still sticking with that theme of tech news and specifically developer news, this week was Google I/O, or Google Input Output, the annual development conference where Google announces their upcoming new features. Last year, I mentioned that I thought the NotebookLM feature was quite possibly the coolest AI feature announced, mainly because I bought right into the help with homework part of the demo. I have a 12-year-old, and when she needs help with math, I need a lot of help because they do not do math the way that we did math in middle school. How NotebookLM works is that it allows users to create their own mini learning models, kind of like a binder or notebook that you would keep all of your class notes in. You can enter links, documents, and files, and then the AI component of NotebookLM will give you a summary, complete with citations. You can even have it create different types of summaries based on how you learn. So if you're more into reading, it can create an article for you. Now, previously, to use NotebookLM, you had to use a web-based version. But this week, Google announced the NotebookLM app, complete with 3 of the most requested features from users. By using the app, users can now listen to their audio summaries when offline, which is super helpful when commuting, traveling, or if you're in a school with super lockdown Wi-Fi access. I am intrigued by how the audio summaries put the information into a podcast/talk show format. And then also new within that audio summary, users can ask questions about the content they're listening to. Sounds a little bit like raising your hand in the classroom and asking for clarification. And then finally, Google made it easier to add source information into the app to continue to round out your notebook. Best of all, the new app is available for both Apple and Android users and can be downloaded from the respective app stores. We will have the links to learn more in the episode notes. Number 3, since we started covering some of the news coming out of Google I/O, I thought it would be a good idea to include something from Microsoft as well. This week, Microsoft held their Build conference, another conference for developers where we get to learn about the new innovations coming from the company. Prior to the event, I saw a lot of articles highlighting how many systems run on older versions of Windows. And I suppose that trek down memory lane was paving the way for some of the new Windows 11 features coming soon. One that I find interesting is the addition of simple AI tasks right within File Explorer. This isn't exactly revolutionary. After all, we've seen basic AI editing added to most photo editing apps. And we've seen a lot of AI summaries, for better or for worse, on different devices and platforms. What's interesting about Microsoft's take is that the options are baked right in so that when you right-click on an item, you'll get Select AI Action options a few spots down on the context menu. Those options will include a Bing visual search, the ability to blur the background, erase an object, or remove the background altogether. After those options have launched, Microsoft plans on adding 2 text-based AI actions, the ability to summarize a passage or create an FAQ. If you ask me, the latter sounds like a shorter list-based version of the NotebookLM AI functionality we just talked about. All of those functions will require subscriptions to Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Copilot. The FAQ creator will be available to commercial accounts before consumer accounts. Something to keep in mind, no word on exactly when those features are rolling out, but Microsoft is in the process of rolling those out to test groups. Number 2. TikTok is the latest social media platform to try to address screen time limits for teens. And while the feature is meant for the younger set on TikTok, I don't think it would be a bad idea for other platforms to follow suit. Here's how it works. Say you're under the age of 18. You're scrolling through your For You feed and the clock chimes 10 p.m. You will be treated to a guided meditation designed to help you wind down, close out the app, put your phone down, and go to bed. The feature is called Meditation in Sleep Hours, and for users aged 13 through 18, it will be turned on by default. Now, apparently, you can exit out of that first meditation because multiple articles and the official press release mention, quote, a second, harder to dismiss full screen prompt, end quote. Imposing a curfew on social media. I can't say that it's a bad idea for those aged 13 through 18. Other countries have already established stricter limitations at the government level. I think this is fantastic, but I'm also pretty sure that most kids will find a way around it because they always do. If this sounds like an interesting feature to you, anyone can turn on the guided meditation. It's not just limited to the under 18 set. It's just that it's only turned on by default for that age demographic. So those of us over the age of 18 who want to self-impose those limits can do so under the screen time setting by turning on sleep hours. I'm a big fan of the sleep podcast, Nothing Much Happens. So if this is something similar that turns off on a sleep timer, I love that. But I do have concerns about it running out my battery without a sleep timer. So I will have to check that out and report back. And then probably the most interesting thing that I read in the release, TikTok's claim that out of all the kids in the testing group, quote, 98% of the teens kept the meditation experience switched on, end quote. That's pretty incredible, and it suggests that while you may get some pushback from your kid, possibly might get blamed for being offline, it seems like the kids are okay with a little more stringent rules than what we had back in the days of Instant Messenger and ICQ. That brings us to number 1 on our list this week. Let's talk a little more about social media. Here at the Agent Survival Guide podcast, we are huge proponents of using some type of social media for your business. And we say some type because what you choose really depends on the type of business you have. An agent selling Medicare plans is going to have a very different strategy compared to an agent selling under 65 health insurance. You want to tailor your strategy to meet your audience where they are online. You also want to think about what type of content is shared on those platforms and whether or not you can easily create that type of content. And then there's also value in staying up to date on what's happening on those platforms and how other professionals are using them. Probably another thing worth mentioning is that if this sounds like a full-time job, you're not wrong. There's a lot that goes into social media marketing, and that's why many companies now have staff dedicated to those efforts. But for those of us who are bootstrapping our own efforts and need to be a little scrappy, well, there is a great resource that just came out, and it can be helpful, especially if you're looking to ramp up your marketing efforts online. Earlier this week, Michael Stelzner from the Social Media Examiner released the 2025 Social Media Marketing Industry Report. And let me tell you, it is brimming with information that can help you guide your efforts, whether you are just starting out or if you're looking to level up, so surviving and thriving. I've got enough takeaways from this report that could probably fill an entire episode, and that still might be coming in the future. If that's something you'd be interested in, send us a message at asgpodcast@ritterim.com or use the link in our episode notes. Let us know. We will start with the basics here. So, surviving the social media landscape of 2025. I think the most important thing to realize is that social media is just like our industry. It's always changing, always evolving. Back in 2020, Facebook was the clear frontrunner for the most important platform. 69% of marketers saw it that way. But now, just 5 years later, only 37% of marketers rank Facebook as their number one go-to. LinkedIn has surpassed Instagram for the second place spot. Instagram is third, and YouTube is fourth. Getting into the numbers, Facebook is ranked as most important, again, by 37% of marketers. LinkedIn comes in second at 29%, surpassing Instagram for that second place spot. Instagram is still holding strong at 24%, and then YouTube came in fourth, with 7% of marketers deeming it their most important social media platform. Other than Facebook, everyone has grown over the past 5 years. Even YouTube saw modest growth from 5% back in 2020 to that 7% mark for 2025. But do these numbers mean that you should be on the top 3 platforms or even the top 2? It depends, and I think this is where it can get confusing for those starting out. Depending on your audience and what you want to get out of your social media marketing, one or all of the platforms we just mentioned might be a good fit. Your content might be able to do well on Facebook, and if other marketers are leaving the platform, that could be an opportunity for you, depending again on your audience and your goals. But what I see when I look at this chart is that just 7% of marketers are focusing their efforts on YouTube at the moment. There is potential market share up for grabs there, depending again on your audience, your goals, and your ability to make content for the platform. That can be a barrier to getting started if you don't feel confident making videos. In which case, I would recommend listening to our interview with Linda Ugolo and picking up a copy of her book, Delight in the Limelight. For those just starting out, though, I think there's information in this report that could help you decide which is the right platform for you when taken in consideration with your portfolio, your audience, and your goals. If you're already on social, whether that's just one platform or the whole laundry list of channels, there is value in this report for you as well. You know how we talk about annual reviews? Now is a great time to review your social media strategy to see what's working for you and what's not. Do your analytics suggest that the time and effort you're putting into social media are paying off? If not, it might be time to abandon those platforms and focus your efforts where they're actually benefiting you. That might sound like quitting, but here's the thing. The point of social media is to post and engage where your audience is. If you find that your audience is moving to a different platform, or that you're having more success on platform B than platform A, there's nothing wrong with pulling back or nixing your efforts on one platform to really focus on the one that is working for you. In this survey, marketers reported on their future social media marketing plans. They detailed whether they plan to increase their presence, keep their marketing the same, decrease their activity, or if they had no plans to use the platform. Marketers answered questions about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, and Threads. We've reported on the user exodus from X, the rising adoption of replacements like Threads and Blue Sky, and the potential TikTok ban here in the United States. Based on that information, it wasn't too surprising to see that half of marketers surveyed said that they had no plans to use X, Threads, or TikTok in 2025. Sadly, Blue Sky did not make the survey this year, but I'm holding out hope for next year. Now, do these numbers mean that you shouldn't be using these platforms either? Well, it depends. Is your audience there? Does the engagement on those platforms align with your goals? Are you already seeing success on those platforms? I know how I would answer those questions, but I cannot answer those questions for you. That is something you've got to do for yourself. The last thing I'll mention here, what I really liked about this report, the whole reason I was able to talk about it in today's episode, is because both B2B and B2C marketers were surveyed. For our purpose here on the podcast, I'm looking at the B2B or business-to-business marketing numbers. For agents, you would want to focus on the B2C or business-to-consumer numbers. You can also take a look at the difference between the two, and that should help you get an idea of the vibe of the social media platforms. For example, LinkedIn is mainly a B2B space, while other social platforms can be used for either type of marketing. We will have the link to download the report in our episode notes. If you have questions, feel free to send them our way. asgpodcast@ritterim.com, again, is our email. I would love to tackle your questions in an upcoming episode, so let me know what you would like to hear about. With that, we are at the end of another Friday 5 episode, and honestly, I can't believe that there is only one more Friday in May. But that is a discussion for next week, not this week. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Follow along with our show wherever you like to listen.